The war had been raging for 3 standard years across the Outer Rim, and General Kratok had never encountered a species quite like humanity. They were small, fragile creatures by Valorian standards. No chitinous armor, no regenerative capabilities, no natural weapons to speak of. Yet somehow these soft-skinned bipeds had managed to hold the line against his armies for far longer than any strategist had predicted. Today, he would finally understand why. Captain Rhea Voss stood in the center of the detention bay, her hands bound behind her back with energy cuffs that hummed with suppressive force. Her uniform was torn and scorched from the battle that had led to her capture, but her posture remained defiant. When Kratok entered the chamber, all 7 feet of scaled muscle and battle scars, she didn't flinch. Instead, she smiled. That smile unnerved him more than he cared to admit. "Captain Voss," Kratok rumbled, his translator rendering his words into smooth standard. "You have cost me 3 battalions, 2 orbital platforms, and my best field commander. I wanted to meet the human who has become such a thorn in my side." Rhea tilted her head, studying him with eyes that held no fear. "General Kratok, your reputation precedes you. The Butcher of Talna 7, Conqueror of 16 Systems, Terror of the Galactic Council." She paused, her smile widening. "Personally, I expected someone taller." The guards surrounding them shifted uncomfortably. No one spoke to the general this way. Kratok's secondary jaw clicked, a sign of irritation among his kind. "You humans have a saying," he continued, circling her slowly, "about catching more flies with honey than vinegar. I am offering you honey, Captain. Tell me your supply routes, your defensive positions, the location of your command center on Kepler 442b. In exchange, I will spare your crew. They are currently in cells below us awaiting my judgment." "Tempting," Rhea said, watching him circle, "but I've got a counteroffer. You withdraw your forces from human space, turn yourself over to the Galactic Council for war crimes, and I won't tell everyone how a human half your size made you look like an idiot today." Kratok stopped mid-stride. The audacity of this creature was astounding. He had broken warlords, made admirals weep, seen entire species kneel before him. Yet this small human, bound and powerless, spoke to him as if she held all the cards. "You think yourself brave," he said, moving to a weapons rack on the wall. "But bravery without power is merely stupidity." His clawed hand selected a plasma grenade from the collection, an older model, but still deadly. He armed it with a deliberate motion, watching her face for any sign of fear. The grenade's indicator light pulsed red. 3 seconds until detonation. He tossed it casually at her feet. Most beings would have screamed, scrambled, begged. Most beings would have broken in that moment, realizing their mortality in the face of imminent destruction. Kratok had used this technique dozens of times to extract information. The grenade was set to a delayed fuse. He would disarm it at the last second once his prisoner had been sufficiently terrorized. Captain Rhea Voss looked down at the grenade. Then she looked back up at him, and she laughed. Before Kratok could process what was happening, Rhea dropped to one knee, swept her bound hands beneath her legs with a flexibility that shouldn't have been possible with energy cuffs, and brought her arms to the front of her body. In one fluid motion, she kicked the grenade with the side of her boot. The plasma sphere sailed through the air in a perfect arc, spinning end over end directly toward Kratok. "Nice try," she said, still smiling. The general's combat reflexes saved his life. He caught the grenade with one hand and immediately disarmed it, his claws moving faster than they had in years. The device powered down with a disappointed whine. Silence filled the detention bay. Kratok stared at the inactive grenade in his palm, then at the human who had just kicked a live explosive back at him without hesitation. His soldiers had frozen, weapons half raised, unsure whether to fire or simply witness what was unfolding. "You see, General," Rhea said, standing back up despite the cuffs, "that's the thing about humans. We don't survive because we're the strongest or the fastest. We survive because when you throw death at us, we throw it right back. With interest." Kratok's mind raced through countless scenarios. The war, the battles, the inexplicable human victories that defied all military logic. He thought of the human ship that had rammed his flagship rather than surrender. The human colony that had detonated their own reactor core to take out an invasion force. The human soldier who had held a bridge alone for 6 hours against overwhelming odds. They weren't just brave. They were insane, and insanity, he realized, was the most unpredictable weapon in the universe. Release her, Kratok commanded quietly. His second-in-command turned to him, mandibles clicking in confusion. General? I said release her. And her crew. Kratok placed the grenade back on the weapons rack with deliberate care. Captain Voss, you and your people are free to go. Take your ship and leave this system. Rhea's expression shifted from confident to suspicious. Just like that? Just like that. Kratok met her gaze, and for the first time in decades he felt something other than contempt for an enemy. Respect, perhaps. Or recognition. I have conquered many species, Captain. But I have never tried to conquer one that is collectively suicidal. There is no honor in that, and no profit either. As the energy cuffs released and Rhea rubbed her wrists, Kratok turned toward the exit. He paused at the doorway, looking back at her one final time. Tell your superiors that General Kratok is withdrawing from the Kepler sector. The war here is over. They're going to ask why, Rhea called after him. Kratok's translator caught what might have been a laugh in his native tongue. Tell them that I learned an important lesson today. Never play chicken with a species that invented the game. As he left the detention bay, he heard Captain Rhea Voss laughing behind him. Not the laugh of someone who had narrowly escaped death, but the laugh of someone who had never doubted the outcome. General Kratok had conquered 16 systems and broken countless armies. But today, one small human had taught him the most valuable military lesson of all. Some battles are won before they're ever fought, and some enemies are better left unfought entirely. Behind him, Captain Rhea Voss smiled and whispered to herself, "Humanity, fuck yeah."